Channel 5, Kxas-Tv.
Bids opened on new Dallas-Fort Worth South Freeway.
And we'll look for a change in the weekend weather Saturday night and Sunday.
And Pinky Higgins dies in Dallas.
News at 6 with Russ Bloxham, Harold Taft, and Jerry Desmond. Now the news brought to you in color by your local Coca-Cola bottler. News at 6 with Russ Bloxham, Harold Taft, and Jerry Desmond. Brought to you in color by your local Coca-Cola bottler, the Lone Star Gas Company, and University Volkswagen. Now here's Russ Bloxham.
Area 5 Texas News with Chip Moody, Ward Andrews, Harold Taft, and Doug Bear, with special reports from Frank Healer and Willie Monroe. Now here's Chip Moody.
Thank you and good evening. There's been a major development in that probe of the Fort Worth Police Department's Auto Theft Division by the Citizens Investigation Committee.
Good afternoon. This is the news. The House Assassinations Committee prepares to recreate the killing of President Kennedy. Fort Worth Mayor Hugh Palmer says he's against a proposed garbage fee increase, and a Carter cousin says the president couldn't get reelected today.
Texas News with Russ Bloxham, Ed Eubanks, John Gross, and Harold Taft.
Good afternoon. The House Committee on Assassinations will restage the 1963 killing of President John Kennedy on Dealey Plaza in Dallas Sunday morning.
The Texas News with Chip Moody, Mary Ruth Carlton, Harold Taft, and John Gross, with special reports from Pat Couch, Bill Hicks, Joe Sanchez, and Carl Schuckman. Now here is Chip Moody.
Thank you and good evening. Residents in the South Dallas community around the intersection of Lego and Monty have lost 7 large guard dogs to a mysterious sniper in the past 4 months.
Texas News with Chip Moody, Harold Taft, and Carl Schuckman.
Good evening and thank you for joining us. Exactly 1 month ago tomorrow, between 6:07 and 6:50.
For this special edition of the Texas News, we traveled to this ranch near Ranger.
Texas News Watch is brought to you by your Metro Subaru dealers. Now here's Chip Moody.
Good evening. Despite high waves and bad weather, the search continues tonight for 8 men missing after the collapse of a big offshore drilling rig in the Gulf of Mexico. New comments and controversy over the recommendation that Southwest Airlines be allowed to fly to other states from Love Field. A Dallas jury today sentenced Mrs. Kathleen Grotti to life in prison for the screwdriver stabbing death of her 11-year-old son. And popular bluegrass guitarist Lester Flatt died today at the age of 64. Reports at 10.
From Kxas-Tv, this is Channel 5 Action News.
Good evening and thank you for joining us tonight. The fuse continues to burn in the Middle East, and the fuse is getting short.
From Kxas-Tv,
This is Channel 5 Action News.
Good evening. For Garland tonight, the danger is over.
Hello, everybody. I'm Pam Moore.
And I'm Brad Wright.
From Kxas-Tv, this is Channel 5 Action News.
Good evening, I'm Dennis Holly.
This is Channel 5, Kxas-TV. Coming up, Channel 5 News at 5, the best newscast in Texas. Dennis Holly, Ann McGarry, meteorologist Harold Taft, and Scott Murray Sports. This is Channel 5 Action News.
Good evening. Spectators applauded this afternoon in Austin when the state Senate gave its approval to a revised tax package.
That bill was then sent to the House for approval. It's a compromise measure designed...
Brad Wright, meteorologist Harold Taft, and Scott Murray Sports. This is Channel 5 Action News.
We've got two separate lakes down here. We've got one on top of the tank car, and
Brad Wright, Jane Giroux, meteorologist Harold Taft, and Scott Murray Sports. This is Channel 5 Action News Tonight.
Is Channel 5 News, the morning report with Carolyn Razor. Jeff Elliott with today's business report. Meteorologist David Finfrock. And Dr. Bob Lanier with today's 60-second house call. And now, Channel 5 News, the morning report.
Good morning. Making news this Monday, March 24th. Dallas police will gather the...
Channel 5, Kxas-TV. This is Channel 5 News at noon, the most watched newscast of the hour, with the team to watch for news. Jane McGarry. And meteorologist David Finfrock's weather forecast. And now, Channel 5 News at noon.
Hello, everybody. Jane has the day off.
05, Kxas-TV. This is Channel 5 News at 10. The most complete look at the news tonight with the team to watch for news. Brad Wright, Alice Carone, Scott Murray with tonight's sports, and meteorologist Harold Taft with tomorrow's weather forecast. And now, Channel 5 News tonight. Channel 5. Kxas-TV. This is Channel 5 News at 10. The most complete look at the news tonight with the team to watch for news. Pat Warren, Mike Snyder, Alan Mallory with tonight's sports, and meteorologist Scott Chesner with tomorrow's weather forecast. And now, Channel 5 News tonight. Channel 5, Kxas-TV. This is Channel 5 News at noon, the most watched newscast of the hour, with the team to watch for news. Jane McGarry and meteorologist David Finfrock's weather forecast. And now, Channel 5 News at noon. Kxas-TV. This is Channel 5 News at 5, with the team to watch for news. Jane McGarry, Reggie Harris, Scott Murray with sports, and meteorologist Harold Taft with the most accurate weather forecast in North Texas. And now, Channel 5 News at 5. Channel 5, Kxas-TV. This is Channel 5 News tonight with the team to watch for news. Alice Carone, Brad Wright, Scott Murray sports, and meteorologist Harold Taft with the most accurate weather forecast in North Texas. And now, Channel 5 News Tonight.
This is Channel 5 News Today with the team to watch for news. Carolyn Razor, business analyst Jeff Elliott, meteorologist David Binfry, and Dr. Bob Lanier with the 60-second house call. And now, Channel 5 News Today.
Good morning. It's Wednesday, June 24th, and our top stories today. Police.
This is Channel 5 News at 5 with the team to watch for news. Jane McGarry, Larry Estefa, Scott Murray with sports, and Chief Meteorologist Harold Taft with the most accurate weather forecast in North Texas. And now, Channel 5 News at 5. This is Channel 5 News at 6 with the team to watch for news. Brad Wright, Alice Caron, Scott Murray with sports, and Chief Meteorologist Harold Taft with the most accurate weather forecast in North Texas. And now, Channel 5 News at 6. This is Channel 5 News Tonight with the team to watch for news. Brad Wright, Alice Caron, Scott Murray with sports, and Chief Meteorologist Harold Taft with tomorrow's forecast. And now, Channel 5 News Tonight. This is Channel 5 News Tonight with the team to watch for news. Brad Wright, Alice Caron, Scott Murray with sports, and Chief Meteorologist Harold Taft with tomorrow's forecast. And now, Channel 5 News Tonight.
The shakeup at the White House could put another Texan in a powerful position. Former Senator John Tower may be one of the wise men many say President Reagan needs now. Good evening, everyone.
The bottom has fallen out of the Iran arms scandal, and it cost the jobs of 2 national security.
This is Channel 5, Kxas-Tv. With the team to watch for news. Mike Snyder, Ramona Logan, Tim Matthews with sports, and meteorologist Scott Chesner. And now, Channel 5 News, the Weekend Report. Channel 5, Kxas-TV.
The news continues with the night team. Alice Caron, Brad Wright, Scott Murray, and Harold Taft. And now, Channel 5 News Tonight.
Channel 5, Kxas-TV.
I can't imagine anybody wanting to hurt her.
I don't remember any Republicans or Democrats running on a Please Raise My Taxes program.
The doctors assure us that he's going to live a very normal life and grow up to be Dallas Cowboys quarterback.
The news continues with the night team. Brad Wright, Alice Caron, Scott Murray, and Harold Taft. And now, Channel 5 News Tonight.
An area-wide search is underway tonight for a 31-year-old bank vice president. Good evening, everyone. Catherine Tom has been missing for a week now.
Channel 5, Kxas-TV.
The news continues with the night team. Mike Snyder, Ramona Logan, Tim Matthews, and Scott Chesner. And now, Channel 5 News Tonight. This is Texas News 5 with Randall Carlisle, Jane McGarry, Scott Murray on sports, and Chief Meteorologist Harold Taft. And now, Texas News 5, the 10 o'clock report.
This is Texas News 5 with Ramona Logan, Jim Douglas, meteorologist Scott Chesner, and Scott Murray's Sports Extra. And now, Texas News 5, the Weekend Report. Channel 5. Built Building a better Texas. This is Texas News 5 with Jane McGarry and meteorologist David Finfrock. And now, Texas News 5, the Noon Report.
Building a better Texas. This is Texas News 5 with Brad Wright and meteorologist David Finfrock. And now, Texas News 5, the Noon Report. Channel 5, building a better Texas. This is Texas News 5 with Brad Wright, Cynthia Tinsley, Scott Murray on sports, and Chief Meteorologist Harold Taft. And now, Texas News 5, the 5 o'clock report.
Good afternoon. Building a better Texas. This is Texas News 5 with Alice Barone, Brad Wright, Scott Murray on sports, and Chief Meteorologist Harold Taft. And now, Texas News 5, the 6 o'clock report.
Tonight. This is Texas News 5 with Alice Carone, Brad Wright, Scott Murray on sports, and Chief Meteorologist Harold Taft. And now, Texas News 5, the 10 o'clock report.
You're watching Channel 5, the Texas News Channel. Now, Jane McGarry, Mike Snyder, Scott Murray on sports, and meteorologist David Finfrock. Live, this is Texas News 5 at 6. You're watching Channel 5, the Texas News Channel. Now, Mike Snyder, Jane McGarry, Scott Murray on sports, and meteorologist David Finfrock. Live, this is Texas News 5 at 10. You're watching Channel 5, the Texas News Channel. Now, Jim Douglas, Ramona Logan, Scott Murray with Sports Extra, and meteorologist Scott Chesner. And now, Texas News 5, the Weekend Report.
You want to stick it out?
Live from Channel 5, the Texas News Channel. Angela Kane, Mike Snyder, meteorologist Rebecca Miller, and Scott Murray. This is Texas News 5 at 5. Live from Channel 5, the Texas News Channel. Jane McGarry, Mike Snyder, meteorologist David Finfrock, and Scott Murray. This is Texas News 5 at 10. Live from Channel 5, the Texas News Channel. Brad Wright, Angela Kane, meteorologist David Finfrock, and Scott Murray. This is Texas News 5 at 5, the Texas News Channel. With Jane McGarry, Mike Snyder, Scott Murray, and David Finfrock. Texas News 5 at 10 continues.
We were prepared to go forward. Mr. Irvin knew that, Mr. Gillette knew that, and it was just the right time to put this thing behind Michael Irvin and behind the County of Dallas for all good purposes.
The drug trial of Cowboys wide receiver Michael Irvin is over tonight in a surprise plea bargain by the playmaker. Good evening and thank you for joining us.
Live from Channel 5, this is Texas News 5 Weekend Report.
Good evening and thanks for joining us, everyone. We begin tonight with some severe weather moving through North Texas.
Meteorologist Scott Chesner is here with more. Scott?
Yeah.
Now, live, this is NBC 5 Weekend Report. Live from NBC 5, the first television station in Texas. Calvin Hughes, Sabrina Smith, meteorologist Scott Chesner, and John Radigan. This is NBC 5 Weekend Report.
You're watching the NBC 5 Midday Report. Live from NBC 5, the Texas News Channel, Brad Wright, Ramona Logan, and meteorologist Rebecca Miller. This is NBC 5. Now live, this is NBC5, the Texas News Channel.
Good evening, I'm Jane McGarry.
And I'm Mike Snyder.
Live from NBC5, the Texas News Channel, Jane McGarry, Mike Snyder, Chief Meteorologist David Finfrock, and Sports Director Scott Murray. This is NBC5. Now, live, this is NBC5, your source for live, local, late-breaking news.
Good evening, and we begin on this Thanksgiving night with the death of a Texas legend.
This is NBC5, Dallas-Fort Worth's #1 rated late news. Now, live, this is NBC5 News. Now, live, this is NBC5, your source for live, local, late-breaking news.
We're watching a homeland security situation in Florida. Strange details from the interstate shutdown on NBC5 first at 4.
A water emergency in one Dallas community. News from the pipe problem ahead.
Now, live, this is NBC5, your source for live, local, late-breaking news.
We're still hoping that our son is out there alive. You know, that's our hope. But, you know, if not, I mean, any family want closure. I mean, we just can't let it go unsolved like this.
The family of Baylor basketball player Patrick Dennehy speaks out, hoping for some answers in his disappearance. Welcome to NBC5 First at 4. I'm Carol Wang in for Elsa Ramon.
And I'm Todd Wallace. It's been nearly a month now after the disappearance of Patrick Dennehy.
Now, live, this is NBC5, your source for live, local, late-breaking news.
And we were too scared to go get him, and he was too scared to swim in.
America strikes back tonight. Americans getting a close look at a new video of Osama bin Laden describing the attack on the World Trade Centers.
In that tape, bin Laden says he was pleasantly surprised when the Twin Towers collapsed. He apparently only expected damage to several floors.
And 2 men arrested in North Texas may be cleared as suspects in the attack on America.
We begin our live team coverage tonight. We join NBC5's Jim Hanchett. He brings us the report tonight from Washington. Jim, good evening.
Live, this is NBC5, your source for live, local, late-breaking news.
Good morning, it's 4.
Now, live, this is NBC5 News at 6. Now, live, this is NBC5, your source for live, local, late-breaking news. You're watching NBC5 News today.
Welcome.
You're watching NBC5 News First at 4.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Brian Curtis.
And I'm Meredith Plant, in for Christy Nelson.
You're watching NBC5 News at 6.
He talked about being weak.
You're watching NBC5 News at 10. You're watching NBC5 News in high definition. You're watching NBC5 News in high definition.
Now, live from HD Studio One, this is NBC5 News. Now, live, this is NBC5 News. Now, live, this is NBC5 News at 11 a.m.
We are following breaking news in Denton right now. New details are emerging in the investigation of a small plane crash that killed one person. 2 others were on the plane that went down at around 2 o'clock this morning.
Is NBC5 at 10.
I did this right here.
Home Alone when... You're watching NBC5 News First at 4.
We are...
You're watching NBC5 News at 5.
Good evening and thanks for joining.
You're watching NBC5 News at 10.
Tonight, North Texans brace for a...
You're watching NBC5 News at 5.
And first tonight, breaking news in Benbrook. Ross...
You're watching NBC5 News at 6.
We begin tonight with something of an identity crisis in Fort Worth. Should the city side starts right now?
You're watching NBC5 News at 10. You're watching NBC5 News at 10.
Right now, 10 airlines strike a coronavirus relief deal, securing tens of thousands of North Texas jobs. Then 10 people fall victim to the virus in Dallas County, the most it has seen in a single day. Good evening. I'm Meredith Land.
And I'm Brian Curtis. Before we get to our coronavirus coverage, we want to talk about our forecast. It is another cold night in North Texas, and we could even wake up to some frost. Chief Meteorologist Rick Mitchell has the update. Rick?
Brian, this will be about the coldest part of this latest cold snap.